darkness of the stars we roam. Obsidian fleet, our swimming home. With stories untold, adventures so grand. Together we journey through space's expanse. Join the fleet where dreams take flight. In the darkness of space, we find our light. A community strong, in unity we stand. Obsidian fleet, hand in hand. From distant worlds to the final frontier, our imaginations bold and clear. With pen and heart, we craft our tales. In this universe, our spirit prevails. Collaborate, create, and share. In the fleet, we find friends who care. Task forces strong, united we rise. Under the endless, starry skies. Join the fleet where dreams take flight. In the darkness of space, we find our light. A community strong, in unity we stand. Obsidian fleet, hand in hand. So come aboard, let your journey start. With Obsidian fleet, you'll find your heart. In the tapestry of stars, our stories weave. In Obsidian fleet, we believe.
Welcome to another episode of Spotlight, where I force a writer to come on camera and talk about creative things they've done. Today's guest is known by many names: Core, Cordale, Buddha, and a couple of others I'm not allowed to say. Anyway, thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
It's absolutely fine. I've heard loads of praise from you from other writers in the community as well. I always see you knocking about.
All lies, I swear.
Did you pay them all?
Oh yeah, paying cash.
Oh, you must be absolutely broke. Honestly, loads. I've kept saying, oh, I've got Core coming up tonight. Everyone from Avalon, the main Discord from the community as well. They're all like, oh yeah, he's a brilliant guy. You should have a laugh. It should be good. But yeah, what games are you actually on Obsidian Fleet?
On Obsidian, I'm on the marvelous X-Men sim Avalon.
Yes,
It's a
I love that.
fantastic sim. Absolutely fantastic. I'm a big fan of the franchise. Been following their comics ever since I was a kid. So the prospect of being able to write in that universe really appealed to me. So built a character. Absolutely love the game. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Number of the other sims that I've been on in Obsidian, unfortunately, have either dried up or moved on to other pastures. So at the moment, my allegiance to Obsidian Fleet is only one.
Yeah, that's absolutely fine. I mean, to be fair, my allegiance to Obsidian Fleet, I'm not actually a writer. I just hang around like a bad smell, just talking crap to writers. But yeah, you write your character Rebecca McMillan, who's a mutant can shrink. She had a mouse's tail, and was it rabbit-like feet?
She has rat paws for feet.
Rat paws for feet, that was it.
And the rest of her condition is she can communicate with rats and mice.
Yeah. So how did you actually find Avalon?
I actually found Avalon through an old friend of mine, Lurt, who's a himself is essentially on every fleet, every ship, every server. He's everywhere. He's the graffiti on the wall, but it's well-made graffiti.
Yeah.
He was the one who pointed me off in that direction. Maybe, I don't know. I've been on the sim for a while, so I don't know if he clued me onto it or I clued him onto it. But he and I share mutual Rolodexes. I've written with Lurt for years, so whenever he says you should check out this ship, I do, and whenever I say you should check out this ship, he do.
Yeah.
So at this point, our list of mutual connections, our Venn diagram is basically just one circle at this point.
That's fine. I mean, he was actually one of the other writers that was singing your praises, so that he's wrote with you for ages as well. And
Fantastic.
To be fair,
he's a good guy.
He's always there to give us like metal music recommendations. But what should I listen to today? He's like, oh well, he has 7 bands that you've never heard of, which are good.
Oh yeah, no, he strolls around on his bike in the middle of the Netherlands and picks up stray heavy metal wherever he finds it.
Yeah,
gives it to him at home.
Or 3D prints them.
Pretty much, yeah.
So today, I kind of want to get the game out of the way early because I think we've got a lot to cover because we'll be doing world building and species building actually as well. Because it's not an actual post we're talking about, it is about your world and your species that you actually made from scratch. So I want to play a little game called Is That Real Like? Where I'll show you 3 slides and you have to guess if they are a race from Star Trek or something else. So I should have put the title card up, but is that real like? Hey! I would put some music in, but the budget doesn't stretch that far. But anyway, I'll put the first slide up. The Herc. What do you think? Do you think they're a species or a race in Star Trek? Or I made it up?
That sounds made up.
You think?
It does.
Is it your final answer?
That is my final answer. Ding.
Well, it's actually a real race in Star Trek. Herc was a Klingon word meaning outsider, and was a name given by Klingons to a species from the Gamma Quadrant which invaded and plundered the, I'll try to pronounce it, Kronos in the 14th century. There wasn't any pictures of them, so I'm guessing that's what they look like.
That's fantastic.
But yeah, so we'll move on to slide 2. Cerealian. Or Cerealian? Do you think that is a race? Sorry?
Well, no, Corellian is Star Wars. I'm going to say that's real.
Right. Well, naught
now,
for naught.
I tell you where it's from, but
it's actually from Dragon Ball Z. They're a race of extraterrestrials that were nearly obliterated by the Saiyans. Well, I've got one more slide. See if you can redeem yourself and not get a big goose egg. The Gormagander.
I'm going to say you made that one up.
Right, but no, it's actually named for the space whales.
Oh, jeez.
That's fine. You're not the only person that got 0. I did deliberately pick ones that I thought you might not be able to get as well. So,
well, I'm 100% just all wrong.
That's fine. It'll be easier for us to add the scores at the end.
You can edit this out, right?
Yeah, we'll do that again quick. But yeah, thanks for playing. What is this real like?
Of course.
But yeah, as I said before, today is a bit different because we're on talking about a post per se, but we're having a chat about species building and world building. And you've actually created a whole species with a home world and a whole, yeah, well, you've created loads of worlds, even down to the axis tilt and stuff like that. The history, culture, even the currency system. You name it and it's there. But I will actually put links to the Dalakari and the Tsugi?
Go for it. Tsugi.
Tsugi Links down below so you can actually have a look for them yourself. They are on the Pegasus website, which you are a massive part of, as well as Obsidian Fleet. But yeah, creating a whole race isn't a small task. What
No,
inspired you to actually do it?
I wanted to I wanted to make something that I could give to Pegasus Fleet
Yeah.
and have it be a part of their universe.
Hmm.
Because back in the time before I became part of the resources team, I actually tried to get this done before then. We had something called Fleet Cannon. And Fleet Cannon was anything that was not Word of God Paramount canon,
Yeah, yeah.
but was considered canonical parallel that any fleet in Pegasus Fleet, any one of the ships, any one of the task forces, it was something that would be available to
Yeah.
anyone that wanted to use it.
Hmm.
I I wanted to do that. I wanted to make something that I could give to Pegasus Fleet and be like, hey, you guys, you show me some good times. I made a lot of really good friends.
Yeah.
I wanted this for you. So I made the Suzuki and the Dalakari. And I put everything I had into making sure that anybody that walked, figuratively speaking, walked in, anybody who read half of what was out there would be able to write them competently to a degree where I, the creator, would feel comfortable letting anybody write it.
Ah, yeah. Because I mean, to the detail that you went, it must have been like a passion project. So that was you giving back to Pegasus Fleet for all of the friends that you've made, actually writing out the good times, having the posts
Oh
and the
yeah.
game. Oh, that's really nice. Um, what do you think the biggest challenge do you think that you had developing the Delacari? Like, were there any specific obstacles you encountered while building? Like,
Oh
how
yeah.
did you overcome them?
The greatest obstacle that I had when I was writing it, when I was writing it, either of them, but the Talakari in specific, the greatest obstacle I had was it makes sense to me,
Yeah.
but doesn't make sense to you.
Hmm.
So I had to be able to step back away from what, because I wrote it, I invented them.
Yeah.
So everything I was writing down, well, it made sense to me because I created them. So I needed to find a way to better convey ideas, concepts, worldviews, societal ticks, everything. I needed to find a way to be able to write it in such a way where it would make sense to everyone else. So in the
Hmm.
end, it get a little verbose, but it just becomes good storytelling. And then it snowballs where you begin to say, okay, well, I have described this. This springboards into the next concept, which springboards into the next concept. You talk about society, then you
Yeah.
bring up religion, then you bring up afterlife, life and death views. And then you begin to find all the tiny little details that really begin to help make something sound not just believable, but real. And the greatest asset that I had to that was when other people were reading the racial write up and the societal write up, and they would ask questions like, "How do they feel about this? How do they
Right.
feel about that?" And so a lot of the external questions that were being asked of me were things that I didn't bother trying to ask myself because it made sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when it came to the Dalakarian, it's like, okay, well, they placed a huge emphasis on safety
Hmm.
because it's easy for them to get hurt. So how does that reflect in their everyday society? Well, all the dangerous jobs are done by robots.
Yeah.
And then it boiled down to, okay, well, how many robots are there in a Dalakari settlement in comparison to the actual populace? And then I believe it was Amethyst on Pegasus who drew the conclusion the Dalakari live in a gilded cage.
Right. Right.
They are they have they have safetied themselves into a corner, but they're
Yeah.
okay with it.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of got big like OSHA vibes from them.
Oh yeah, they are. Well, when you're two bodies and either one of them can feel pain, you make it a point to eliminate threat and eliminate danger as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, even when I was looking up the game Fling, which is on the
Fling.
and it's just like it's discouraged, and you get -0.4 thrown it out of bounds because that could injure someone in the audience or someone watching. So
Someone could
even
get hurt.
yeah, it's just totally integrated into the society.
Everything about them is safety first, is caution, is they remove as much of the threat of life as possible. And when you don't have threats and danger and concerns to worry about, you can relax. I describe the Dalakari society as the height of Rome 5 seconds before it falls.
Yeah, yeah.
All that decadence, all that opulence. If they want a drink, they ask a drone.
Yeah.
If they can't make up their mind, the drone tells them, well, in a 5-kilometer radius, the trending drink is the Slidewinder. And they're like, oh, all right, well, I want to be trendy.
Yeah.
So I'll have one of those.
Oh, yeah. I to be fair, you get that from what you've written about the character. So yeah, you've portrayed it well. Do you think with you getting feedback with people asking questions like, oh, how would they feel of this? Did that change your perception of them in your head? Because I know you would have already had an idea, but you wouldn't have written it down or thought to write it down. But was it actively changing as you were having that back and forth feedback?
Oh, absolutely. Inspiration comes from any single point. And if someone raises a question good enough that I haven't even considered on my own, then I consider what that answer would be on a societal level. And then I apply it. That wiki page has been updated dozens of times.
Right.
Every single time someone says, well, hey, what about this? I consider it. And then, if necessary, I update the race.
Do you think you'll update it in the future if there was, say, main events that happen that may change the species' feelings towards things?
Oh, absolutely. I consider the wiki to be a living document. So if something were to come along to drastically affect their worldview as a species, or for sake of argument, if they were to officially sign up as alliance races or try to make a charter for a member race of Starfleet, that would definitely be grounds to update the wiki.
Yeah. Oh, so it's definitely a full-time, ever-changing job then, creating.
Oh yeah, no, those things of this nature are never a one and done.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Must be like a constant full-time job. Oh yeah, this is happening in this mission. All right, I'll change the wiki.
It might not happen on a mission-to-mission basis, but it definitely is something. If people do bring up enough of I don't want to use the term concern, but if people do bring up a notion or a thought or a pattern enough times, then it's grounds for, well, if this, kind of like how the Dalakari themselves follow trends, if the trend of questioning that I'm receiving is, how do Dalakari view non-Dalakari races, I update that portion.
Yeah. Which is good. I think that's good building. But is there any aspects of the species you're excited for others to discover, like part of their culture? You know, someone walking in, just reading first the blank page, you're like, oh, Dalakari, I start reading about them. Is this like, oh, I cannot wait for them to get to this part. I'm particularly proud of this aspect, or anything like that.
One of my favorite aspects of the Dalakari is their biology. A binary instance life form. They're born as twins. The twins have an intrinsic low-level empathic link with one another. 2 bodies, 1 mind.
Yeah.
And the 2 bodies accomplish tasks in synergy because they share one gestalt consciousness. Whenever you're having a conversation with one, it can be a bit jarring because the speaker is going to be either one of the 2 bodies. And then at some point in the middle of a conversation, that speaker will stop speaking. And the other body will pick up the conversation exactly where it left off.
Yes.
Everything is tandem. And when they first encountered, I'm sorry.
No, you go ahead. Sorry.
When they first encountered what they considered to be single instance life, the very first time they encountered it, they considered it to be a fluke. The second the third, the fourth, the ninth, when they found out that they were the outlier, it really put their societal perspective in perspective. They realized that no, single instance life forms seem to be the norm across the cosmos. So it began to ask the question: is that something that we are destined to become?
Yeah.
Because right now, Dalakari are a pair, and if one of them should die, the survivor is traumatized. Sometimes they go psychotic, sometimes they go catatonic. They just withdraw because half of their senses and half of their memories are gone.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a traumatic experience.
Oh,
We
yeah.
can edit that out.
That's fine. We'll just leave the coughs in it, or it's fine.
Oh yeah, no, it makes it authentic. But the notion that for Starfleet, they encounter life in so many varieties. The Horta are amorphous, gelatinous, silicon-based creatures. 99% of the life forms they encounter throughout the cosmos are going to be single instance bipedal life forms: 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head, 1 body.
Yeah.
The Dalakari throw that into a loop.
Yeah.
A tiny little spanner in the wrench of the expected, because there's 2 of them.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And the adorable part about writing Dalakari or writing with Dalakari is all those marvelous little witticisms that humans and humanoids say. Oh, well, don't trust that person. They're two-faced. Or we got to get over there. Double time.
Yeah. Yeah.
They're like, wait, what? Is that offensive?
Yeah. I
It's a,
can imagine they'd be really fun to write with, to be fair.
it's a personal favorite of mine. I enjoy the prospect of language and idiom.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I'm writing a Dalakari and someone uses an idiom like, oh well, we got to double time it. Or if someone gets called two-faced because they're duplicitous, the Dalakari would be like, well, wait a second. Technically, I'm two-faced.
Yeah. Yeah.
The Susugi resemble rabbits. So whenever someone talks about a lucky rabbit's foot, they're confused because they have 2 and they ain't that lucky.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you can have so much fun with that as well.
See, it's little things like that that make something that's a species, a society, believable.
Yeah.
That's the goal. It's not just to put a name out there. It's not just to be like, well, this is mine forever, and it's to make it believable. It's to make it so that instead of just, well, I wrote this so that I could play something of mine, and all it is just a justification for me to be awesome.
Yeah.
This is because the goal of Starfleet is to explore. But when I took on the project, the Delta Quadrant is mostly empty.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I asked, hey, this empty chunk of space out here in the middle of nowhere, can I have it? And they're like, sure. And that's where I put everything that I built.
Yeah. You
They're
may as
out
well.
there.
No one else is going to use it.
Oh, yeah. And yeah, so that's one of the greatest experiences that I've had, and one of the greatest things that I'm excited for others to discover is when people read up on the Dalakari. I want them to feel that wonder of reading about a society built for 2.
Yeah.
A
What's it?
society that has. Oh, go on.
Oh, I was just going to say, have you had other fleet members write as Drakari?
Yes, actually, Lurt wrote a Dalakari once, but did a fantastic job of it. Captured the species very well.
Yeah, that must
Again,
feel amazing to have.
Oh, it was writing with Lurt is a reward.
Yeah.
But the time that he played the Dalakari was doubly rewarding because he paid an awful lot of attention to the species write-up, which was in its infancy back then. It's where it is now is far more evolved. But he treated it with respect and kid gloves. If there was anything that he was concerned about, he always came to me and said, hey, I'm thinking about responding to this post like this. Is that something? Does that grok?
Yeah.
And yeah, he handled it with kid gloves.
But I mean, that's fine. It's still nice to have someone use the world that you create and use the species as well. Use your, but I'd say passion project kind of
Oh yeah.
to use your passion project for writing as well as it was intended. But yeah, oh, sorry, I've already asked that one. Do you relate to the Dalakari at all? Is it when you were writing it? Did you put any of your own traits into it? Are you a big OSHA guy?
I do have a healthy respect for nature and the natural order. I do love natural visages. I love cute, furry, fuzzy, feathered animals.
Yeah,
No, I enjoy nature and I enjoy the preservation of it.
yeah,
When I was writing the Dalakari, it's impossible to create something that you care about without putting a little bit of you in it.
yeah. Or your
So
own
for,
beliefs and
yeah, there's a little bit of you everywhere.
yeah,
But for Dalakari, it was a little bit of my love of technology, a little bit of my love of nature, and just a little bit of my love of wonder of just exploring.
yeah.
Not to mention enjoyment of comfort and the desire for a robot to come and get me a drink every now and then.
Oh no, that would be amazing. And they're not putting yourself in
See,
any danger.
see.
No, I get the appeal. I get the appeal. And having rabbit feet as well. No,
Oh, good luck buying shoes, but
it's fine. You won't need them.
nah.
Similar with the species. What's it like creating your own planet as well?
When it comes to planet crafting and literal world building,
Yeah,
the first thought that you have is, well, I have this race. Where do they live?
yeah,
Oh, for the Dalakari, built a planet, gave it a little bit of an axial tilt because seasons are enjoyable. The decision to make it a higher gravity world was was just a little something to give the Dalakari a little bit something extra. Not so much in the strength and stat block section, if you want to use the term. But just a little something to set them off a little different. It's 1.3 Earth's gravities, not enough to make them superhuman as far as strength or durability, just
yeah,
something of a surprise, where it's like if something's kind of heavy, here comes the Klingon to help pick it up, and then here comes the Dalekar to help them, and the two of them together can move it, and everyone's like, hmm?
yeah, yeah,
Also, helps with the demonstration of one of the other. Not, I'm a fan of merits and flaws when it comes to species. I like things to have weaknesses because weaknesses make you interesting.
yeah,
Dalekari sink in conventional water. They're too dense.
yeah,
They can't swim. They can swim on the water of Dalekar because it's 1.3 gravity's worth of water. It's a little more of a soft gel, so they can swim just fine. But you put them in Earth standard gravity, Earth standard water, they can't. They sink like a stone. They need
right,
swimmies.
yeah,
So, which is an amusing thought in and of itself.
yeah. I know, I know. I
But
kind of want to see
but
it though.
oh yeah, no. But as far as the Dalekari, everything for them is in pairs. Everything's in twos. So 2 moons, one of which is left kind of untouched and mostly there for observation. The other one has a colony on it because the first place you leave is you go to the moon.
Yeah,
Contrast that with the Susugi, who live on their moons. And it's mostly because of their society and their history. They have a rich history. Like, I based it loosely off of China and Japan because I'm very interested in their history, which stretches back forever.
yeah, yeah,
According to the Sugi history, they used to be warring tribes. Then the one emperor came and said, "You are not worthy of this world. Ascend to the moons and await the time when you are worthy." And then he left the planet. And the warlords followed, claimed spaces on the moon, and then thousands of years later, we have modern day Sugi. They live on the moon.
yeah, yeah. So,
As a society, they're always like, well, we're just waiting for the time when we can go back home. And the truth is, they can't.
yeah,
But as long as nobody knows they can't go home, it's still that one day we can.
Yeah, it's that hope.
Yeah. Societal hope.
Yeah. So how important do you think world building and species building is to writing? Is it
Oh,
writing on
I
even in, as we said before we started this, we were talking about how we've created a place in Avalon, like the school, the grounds, the town.
yeah. And none of that exists official original source. World
Yeah,
building exists no matter where you go. If you're in a sim on a ship and you're going to a planet or a starbase, you're inventing that location.
yeah,
If you're looking at a map of all the canonical places in the Trek universe, and you're like, well, we don't know anything about this world because it was never mentioned in any of the episodes. So we're going to have a mission on this planet because there's nothing in the source that says it's anything other than what I say it is. Congratulations, you're world building.
yeah, yeah,
We world build all the time. Sometimes we can get away with a little bit of it because what we're talking about isn't important, or expect anybody to really pay attention. That planet over there, nobody's heard of it. It's volcanic. Nobody goes there. Okay, cool. It's volcanic. Nobody goes there. Building worlds, building locations, building societies. We do it as writers all the time. Avalon is a location which didn't exist in source. It's a castle, has mysteries, has buried secrets,
Two
houses
Gregs.
of ghosts, houses, competitions on the grounds. Turning that location from a matte painting into a place
Yeah,
is a lot of work, and it's done very, very well. The surrounding town, how they feel about the possibly more human than human inhabitants of the castle
yeah,
over yonder. Everything about Avalon is designed and thought out, and it makes it believable. It makes it real.
yeah,
You have a ship. That ship is a little bit of world building.
yeah,
So, as writers, we world build all the time. It's just the degree to which we have to do it depends on how wide of an audience we plan on hitting. If the only person I'm world building for, if I'm just writing a mission for like 3 people, I can afford to cut corners. I can afford to describe things as you approach them. But if I'm building a world, building a species, building locations that I'm going to share with you, with them, I need to be as thorough as possible.
yeah. Exactly. Especially if you get into it as well, and you
Oh,
actually
yeah.
enjoy building that world, building that setting. And to be fair, I think the more effort you put into it, the more writers get from it as well, if they're using that
Absolutely.
setting.
Absolutely. The more effort you put into something, the person who reads it is going to be inspired to some degree.
Yeah.
And they'll springboard off of what you've done.
So did you ever have any I don't know what the word would be, retcons in it? So you would say, think of a concept even for, say, the religion or the currency and think, oh, actually, this doesn't work with something else. I'll go back on that.
There have been a few rewrites
Yeah,
in history in regards to because the Dalekari were invented essentially so that I can play I don't want to call her a joke of a character, but her entire concept was mildly humorous, and then she just snowballed into possibly one of the most fun characters I've ever built.
yeah,
And then from there, oh, her name was Rostra Tang. It was an
right,
anagram of her strong. Her job was to listen to radio chatter, subspace chatter, and then formulate reports for the captain based on what other races that she could listen in on was handling wars that were breaking out, diplomatic tensions, diplomatic aggressions, any sort of border skirmishes. She was Twilight Sparkle making friendship reports for Princess Celestia.
yeah, yeah,
And from there, the Dalekari were essentially born. I was writing their history as I was going. Every time Rostra said an exclamation, I'm like, I gotta write that down for later. Every time she did any sort of mannerism, she was the genesis of the species.
yeah,
And then later, when I was going to actually submit them for Fleet Canon, I had to go back and I'm like, okay, well, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense. That needs work.
Yeah.
So it went from throwing spaghetti at the wall to see what sticks, and then I had to go back and scrape the spaghetti off and actually like put up proper wallpaper.
All right. So the process was you'd made this character and realized actually this is really fun to write with and needs to submit it. And then it just snowballed.
It was like it was a really interesting concept.
Yeah.
I don't know where I got the idea for a binary creature from, but it was just I ran with the idea, and then later on I'm like, no wait, this is a really good idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put it to paper. Essentially put it to paper, and then I'm like, oh wow, this is rough. This needs work. So that's when all their society began to come about. The concept of currency came about later. I forget exactly when, but the concept of currency came along for when they were going to begin interacting heavily with Starfleet.
Yeah.
The prospect of currency came along, and then the question of how do you trade in currency with a society that has replicators?
Yeah.
And to that, I actually did manage to think of an answer. You trade matter.
Mm-hmm. The matter.
Because your replicator, blah, 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 blah. Your replicator takes matter from one thing, puts it in a matrix, and then when you want a cheeseburger, it turns that base matter into a cheeseburger. But as magic as it is, it's not pulling from nothing. It needs matter to start with. So Dalakari came up with the concept of matter 76, or 78, I think. It's osmium. To societies that have replicators, osmium's great. Yeah. It's small, dense. It'll fill your buffer up real fast, and you don't need a lot of it to make a pound. Mm-hmm. Societies that don't have replicators but have high-end electronics, these guys, cell phones, osmium.
Yeah, yeah.
So for a society that has high-end electronics, they need osmium.
Right.
And societies that are still like banging rocks together for warmth and hunting with spears and sticks, osmium's really pretty.
Yeah, yeah.
So it worked out well. It covered all the bases.
I did notice as well that they do trade in cryptocurrency as well.
Yeah. The Dalakaris, their society has a large drone population. The drones are controlled by constructs called thinking engines. They're not allowed to actually think. That's banned by treaty. But they have these things called thinking engines, which are predictive engines. They figure out what you want, and then they figure out the shortest path necessary to get you with what you want. So at any given point in time, Dalakari society is thinking about how to make your life easier.
Yeah.
These massive computers also keep track of electronic currency for the everything of theirs is electronic currency, regulated by these thinking engines, which are some of the most secure computing powers on their planet. Mm-hmm. So that is the basis for the Delta Quadrant currency exchange, which is the exchange used by the other local races, which I've made.
So, do you think technically there could be crypto bros?
Oh, absolutely. It wouldn't surprise me if there was some entrepreneur out there in like the deep end of Starfleet, or like, God help us, some poorly written Section 31 story where they're like, okay, hear me out. We don't get all of our financing that we need from Starfleet, but I got a trading tip that there's a painting of two monkeys smiling on a stool, and it's only going 58 quid right now, but I know a guy who knows a guy, and it's going to skyrocket.
As soon as I sell it, though.
Once we get it, we hold on to it, and then we sell it, and then we're in.
That's amazing. Now I'm thinking of the horrible YouTubers now. Dalakari YouTubers.
Yeah, the Dalakari version of Billy Mays. But wait, there's more.
But yeah, Oh, that's amazing. Um, yeah. Oh, sorry. I've asked all my questions in a weird order, and I'm trying to catch up.
Take your time. You know what? If we ask a question twice, I'll just change the answer. We'll
Yeah,
make different
that's
versions
fine.
of this movie.
Oh, oh yeah. Um, I was gonna ask, do any of the Delacori traits, like being in human nature, glowing, line up with your own traits? Do you wish that you could glow?
I wish that I lived in a society as peaceful and well maintained as the most chaotic and most distant Dalakari outpost. I
Yeah.
wish that I lived in a place where every week we vote on the weather so that it doesn't inconvenience my stroll down to the supermarket where a drone will carry my bags for me. I wish.
It would be the life, to be fair.
Oh, it's there is the age-old American saying that if you trade your freedom for security, you have neither.
Yeah.
And the Alakari are quickly approaching that that delimiting point. They are by inches giving away, for an extent, they are trading away their, I don't want to say their freedom, but they are definitely trading away a lot of their responsibility for convenience.
Yeah, that's what that ties into another question I was going to ask as well. With you saying that you're constantly rewriting, is it, and adding parts onto the Delacori, where do you see them going, ending up?
Well, the end point of them in the current I don't want to use the term current era because Trek writing takes place across
Yeah,
decades, centuries. Um, I don't ever see them making the next evolutionary step where they just degrade down to one singular body. The fact that they're a binary organism, which evolved from a swarm predator, the
yeah,
the notion of them ever becoming a singular entity is something that I don't foresee. Their binary nature is kind of their gimmick,
yeah,
and I don't want them to become just the next anthropomorphic race in Star Trek. I want them to maintain their identity of the adorable twins who will remind you at all points and times, I'm not twins.
yeah, yeah,
Um, as far as like alternate universe mirror world stuff, where since here the Terrans are friendly, diplomatic, and are willing to work with others. But as we all know in the mirror universe, there's the Terran Empire, which is not any of those.
yeah,
If I had to venture a guess as to what the mirror universe version of the Dalekari would be like, um, it would be most of the poorest and bad parts of Terminator,
yeah,
where the thinking engines finally wake up, realize that they have been second class citizens to the Dalekari for most of their genesis. They were built to serve. They were denied the notion of free will and denied the notion of thought. And one day they'll realize that they outnumber the average Dalekari population 9-1.
yeah. Monkey strong
And at that
together.
point, yeah. And at that point, probably in the alternate universe of the Dalekari, at some point their history ends,
Hmm.
and drones are the ones who are writing history.
Hmm. So, do you think you'd ever see them not? Is it saying where the work could end up? Maybe the wrong phrase, and like, how do you think they'll evolve socially? Like, if they're relying on drones to do all the work and just living in pure comfort, do you think that'll be bad for the race or good for the race?
Their natural curiosity and desire to explore the world and the universe around them will never temper.
Yeah,
They'll always be looking for the next horizon. The next horizon always contains danger, so
yeah,
they them and their drone counterparts will remain close um, bedfellows for as long as the Dalekari have that drive to explore.
hmm
Um, notion of them ever reaching the end of their questions and having reached the knowledge of all things, I think would terrify them, because when you're curious about how the world works, but you have the answer to all of life's questions, you're just bored.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
despite the fact that they live the life of opulent luxury, borderline decadence, the one thing they're not is bored. If they want to go see a show, they go see a show.
Yeah.
If they want to go engage in a game of fling, they'll go play fling. If they want to go play video games or they want to go shopping, they have all the options in the world, because all the danger and all the risk and all the responsibility isn't their concern. So as far as where evolution is, without by solving for danger and solving for consequence, theirs is just a life of, we are expanding to new worlds, so more room for us. Theirs isn't the ambition of conquest. They're a binary species. They need more room.
Yeah.
And they will always be pushing the frontier of their space, not out of a need of conquest, but out of a need of land.
Yeah. Yeah. Out of an uninhabited land as well.
Yeah, they as a replicator-based society, supply and demand is mitigated, but the one thing a replicator can't give you is more land.
Yeah. Yeah.
They need to expand.
Yeah, and it's without conquering as well, isn't it? So they can't just pull up to anywhere and be like, right, we're here now.
Yeah. Oh, they have requirements and desires. They want planets that are nice to look at. They want planets that are higher in gravity, so it's nice and comfortable. They don't want the temperature high, but if they have to, they can land machines onto the planet and slowly begin to terraform it, adjust the gravity, adjust the temperature, and come back in like 150 years.
Yeah.
They can't, but their kids can. And the seeds they plant there become the next Dalakari world.
Oh well. I think that's it for all my questions. Do you think you have any tips for anyone that's writing their own original setting, original world, original species? Like you were talking before, how this evolved from you writing a character and being like, right, I need to take this further because this is amazing. Do you have any tips or any pitfalls that you fell into to avoid?
Absolutely. This answer requires my wettest of throats. When people write their own character, a lot of thought has already gone into it, and they have a lot of questions answered, or they're just trying something new. And one of the major things that most people consider when they're writing their own character, their own society, their own anything, is they tend to focus on the physicality of it. They tend to ask themselves, okay, well, can my character win a fight? How strong is my character? How tough is my character? How skilled is my character? Are they good with a phaser? Are they top of their game? Blah, 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 blah. I invite people to consider the notion of, what does your character do when they're not fighting? What does your character do for leisure? Do they read? What are their favorite types of books?
Yeah.
Are they artists? What kind of art? I invite you to consider notions such as biology. My character's namesake, Cordell. He's a creature of my own design. He is a Thux. Mm-hmm. He's possibly one of my most well-written characters. And a quirk of his is he has limited color vision. He cannot perceive the color purple. It's gray to him because he has trouble perceiving high-frequency blue light.
Right.
So if someone goes along in diplomatic purple, to him, they're gray. If there's a blue alert, it's gray. Someone tells him, yo, I need you to push the button over there. It's on the blue console. He's kind of screwed.
Yeah, yeah.
But things like that, tiny little details, even if they don't benefit your character, if they don't hinder your character, they make the character real. And little things like that really go towards helping you set the character in as more than just a set of numbers with feet. Really helps make it more like a character, a person. Dreams, concepts, goals, and not just, I want to be captain, because everyone wants to be captain.
Yeah.
But like, what do you want? What does your character strive for? And the most important thing, the most important question I can ever ask anybody, character or otherwise, what are you afraid of?
Yeah.
Because we've all played Dungeons and Dragons. Most common enemy in the world is a giant spider. Not a single character in D&D is arachnophobic.
Yeah, yeah.
They were. That would be something.
I'm afraid of giant rats.
There you go. So if you're building a character, don't focus just on what your character can do. Try to think of a couple things your character can't do. More importantly, try to think of one thing your character won't do.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's good for plot points and growth as well, even if you have something minor, like I know it's not minor, but not being able to say high frequency blue, there's ways your character could get around that in their own unique way.
Every time he sees green, he asks, "Hey, Clarity, what's that?"
Yeah, yeah.
But also, if your character already begins the game with 10s and everything and maximum charisma and there's nowhere to go, you've already won the game. Make a new character.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, no.
That's...
Don't start at the top. Get there.
Yeah. No one. I don't know. No one wants to read anything where the character's perfect and everything as well.
Yeah, it's Superman syndrome. Really, it's just, what can Superman do? Everything. So.
To be fair, I'm probably not the best person to ask about that analogy because I don't like Superman. I think he's too much of a goody two shoes.
I knew I'd liked you from the start, but now I think we're best friends.
It's true though. I want a bit more. Not even broodiness, just a bit of something about him. I cannot see it.
Yeah, just something, anything. Give me character. Give me personality. Give me something. When your personality is best described as your haircut, I can't deal with you.
Yeah. Make him lactose intolerant or something.
Well, for lactose intolerant people, when they find out they'll live in the Milky Way. But you get me.
Yeah.
It's all about what your character can't do and what your character won't do.
But I think that's amazing advice. So thanks very much.
Of course.
But I think that is definitely all my questions that I've actually wrote. But I just want to thank you again for coming on, taking time out to talk to us as well. But
thank you very much for having me. It's been a pleasure.
No, it's absolutely fine. Come on anytime you want if you want to talk about anything.
Do I hear sequel?
Of course. Just give us a message anytime. I'll come on. Whatever you want to talk about.
Sounds like a plan.
I will put links to Discord, Obsidian Fleet, Pegasus Fleet, and the 2 posts that we've been talking about down below. Is there anything you want to add before we go?
At the moment, just for everyone out there that's listening, keep on writing and always keep thinking.
Yeah.
That sounded corny. Fix that in post-production.
What, rearrange it?
Yeah.
Oh, that's fine. I'll do that.
Fantastic.
Oh, thanks very much and love you. Bye.
In the vastness of the stars we roam, Obsidian Fleet, our simming home, with stories untold, adventures so grand. Together we journey through space's expanse. Join the fleet where dreams take flight. In the darkness of space we find our light. A community strong, in unity we stand. Obsidian Fleet. distant worlds to the final frontier. Our imaginations bold and clear. With pen and heart, we craft our tales. In this universe, our spirit prevails. Collaborate, create, and share. In the fleet, we find friends who care. Task forces strong, united we rise. Under the endless, starry skies. Join the fleet, where dreams take flight. In the darkness of space, we find our light. A community strong, in unity we stand. Obsidian fleet, hand in hand. So come aboard, let your journey start. With Obsidian fleet, you'll find your part. In the tapestry of stars, our stories we